A, B, C. A always B, B, C closing. Always be closing.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's another episode of Scared Money Don't Make Money. We have obviously a great guest for you today because we like to try to keep the content and the information in our guests top notch. I'm gonna let her introduce herself in a minute. As always, we got your boy Roy. He's got his smart glasses on
Got
today.
them on today. I'm ready. I'm
We're
ready.
happy about that. But I'm gonna let her introduce herself, tell you a little bit about her. But we are very excited to have her today. So, ma'am, it's on you.
All right, what's up, Cam? What's up, Roy? I am so humbled and grateful to be here today. I feel special that you guys have actually thought about me, little old me, to actually be a part of, you guys' episode, because I've been seeing that you guys are actually not playing around. You got big people, coming into, you guys' podcast. So I'm truly, truly grateful for being here today. But anyway, my name is Maryann Navarro, retired chief. And Cam and I met briefly at Keesler when I was there serving as a career field manager and group superintendent for the mission support group before I retired. So just quick, I always say just a quick, brief about me or whatnot, but it always ends up kind of getting long, because when the passion kind of kicks in, you let the spirit move you, and next thing you know, oh, okay, that's a little too long of an introduction. But anyway,
as long as you need.
like I said, I'm a retired chief. I've served for about 23 years. As far as jobs that I've held in the military, I started off as a surgical tech, and I did not know that my blood sugar be dropping. I was a surgical person that's operating. Next thing you know,
Oh my
they're
God.
calling cold blue on me because I'm on the floor, right? Because my blood sugar dropped. So the
Wow.
Air Force was like, hey, we
Probably
can't
lunch.
do that no more, right? And then so they retrained me. And back in the day, we're talking about a couple of decades here. They just told me, hey, pick a job. You can either be a cop, supply person, or a personnel, and it's direct duty. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I ain't trying to be no cop. I can't mentally really do it to be a cop, especially back then.
Yeah.
And supply, I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I went with personnel, right? So direct duty. But anyway, across my military career, I took advantage of being a PME instructor as well. So I served as a PME instructor.
Yeah.
Yes, I taught at Airman Leadership School in Kadena Air Base, Japan. And I also taught at the ENSO Academy there and capstoned my career there as a commandant. So, and then went back to my career field, then made chief, and then I became the career field manager for military training instructors and military training leader. I was actually the first female that held that job, that the two-star kind of merged because they wanted a different perspective in AETC then, because it was shortly after we had that shenanigans with them, right?
Yo, shenanigans.
Shenanigans, and stuff like that. And then, I finished out my career as a group superintendent at the mission support group at Keesler. Actually turned down command chief opportunity. Yeah. And I'll talk about that, here shortly as far as why I retired, because everybody was like, wait a doggone minute, not Chief ND, right? Because they call me ND, Navarro Davis, right? So they called me by that nickname because everybody knew that, I was in for the long haul, right? So I retired really so abruptly, for my children, so when you make E8 and E9, it don't even matter, what you're trying to do with the family, right? Because they're gonna move you. Air Force gonna be like, we need you here. It's time to pack your bags. It's only been 15 months. Look here, let's go, right? And then you're like, okay, I didn't know that. Hey, I already gave you 18 years of my life. And now you're going to want more. But during that, you get the high, right? You get to be a part of the top 1%. You're like, oh my God, no, I get to make a difference as a chief. Because when you're E7, E8, you're going to make a difference, but you don't really count yet, So, so I'm like, yes, I'm a chief. And then, applied for that job as a career field manager. And I was a chief select then, I competed with seasoned chiefs for that job. And, lo and behold, God always has his plans for us, right? Like
Yeah.
I was hired by the 2 stars. So that was one of my best jobs, most challenging, but
Yeah.
most rewarding at the same time. But my kids suffered, right? You know,
Yeah.
our kids, our family, you know, we actually take them for granted. You know,
Oh
like
yeah.
we talk about this all the time, you know, how our leadership would always say, hey, you know, um, people will always gonna be the first thing that we say we
Yeah.
should take care of, right? You
Yeah.
know, people first mission always, but let's be real, like that doesn't always happen, right? You know, and stuff like that. So I was that chief, you know, I was all like, I was actually telling my therapist today, right?
Yeah.
You know, I just put a thing on my Facebook today
Yeah.
about,
I
hey, you
seen it
know what,
today.
end the freaking stigma, because like if you need help, like I can be bubbly like this. I'm like this all day, but that doesn't mean life doesn't hit me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I've been seeking therapy and counseling for the last 4 years because life is hard. As a single parent to
Oh
3
yeah.
boys,
Always
taking
living
care
that.
of my mom, and now freaking COVID got me teaching second grade shit. So
Ooh.
I'm just like, man, you know, I'm sure you guys kind of probably feel that pain, right? You know, Roy, you know, you're kind
Yeah.
of doing that stuff too. So but yeah, so I retired from my children because I kind of saw in their eyes that we're moving again. I'm like, I lost friends. Like my oldest one would always still to this day blame me, like, you know, you ruined my life, you ruined my high
Yeah.
school or whatever, all that type of stuff. So, and then when I was married, then my husband then told me that, you know, I really appreciate, you know, I admire how your airmen just love you, right? You know, because I
Yeah.
go all in at work. So, but when you come home,
Yeah.
you have nothing else to give. You
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
nothing else to give. And that kind of hit a dagger in my heart. Like, oh, snap. I couldn't even argue with him, you know, because most of the time you're going to think, especially if you're married to an active duty person, you're going to think, man, you know, this is the freaking grind. Like, you know,
Yeah.
of all people, you're going to be, I wouldn't even think of you to be the person that's going to tell me this. You should understand the grind, right? That's the mentality that I
Yeah.
had then, because I'm like, man, come on, man. I'm trying to like grind for us, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was freaking wrong.
Sounds so
You know,
familiar.
so yeah, man. So I retired and I was like, you know what? Let's do this. And during that time, he already got out. He got out at 16 years. I couldn't even, as the chief, I had my chief hat on, I had my wife hat on, I had my mentor hat on. Like I could not get this dude to see the light at the end of the tunnel, because I couldn't even ask him to say, suck it up for the next 4 years, right? Because everybody has a story, a different story in their career in the military. Not all of us are going to be lucky and have always sunshine and rainbows, and it's going to favor us as far as our career moves are concerned. That wasn't his story. So 4 years to him is like freaking 4 years in freaking prison, right? So, you know, I'm like, whatever you do, I'll support you regardless and all that type of stuff. So that was kind of like the main reason why I abruptly retired, and I had to request, you know, waiver from my active duty service commitment and stuff, because I still haven't really completed my term as a chief. But no kidding, when I didn't think it was gonna get approved, when it approved, I'm like, oh snap, I'm gonna be out in 90 days.
I gotta be out.
Yeah, and then all of my airmen were like, what? Like, you know, because sometimes you got to move in silence, right? Well, all the time you need to move in silence, because you just never know, you know, who's hating on you or who's going to support you, right? So you just kind of like move in silence and let your work speak for you, right? So that's what I did. And I'm going to tell you though, like looking back now, I have no regrets, you know, because if you do it for the right reasons, during that time, whether you think you're doing it for the right reason or not, or you're not even sure if you're doing the right thing, guess what? Whatever kind of feeds in your heart and you're doing the right thing, it's always going to be the right decision, right? So, but as long as you do it for you, but if you do it for somebody else, it's never going to be right. And you're always going to kind of like look back and regret, damn, I should have not retired. I mean, don't get me wrong. I miss my airmen, but I don't miss the damn political shenanigans happening, all the doggone staff meeting and all that stuff that's happening right now, right? You know, I try to support from this platform and still mentor airmen and stuff, but hey, you know, at least I still have that reach with this platform that we do have. That I still have airmen. They still send me their EPRs. They ask me, hey, Chief, what would you do in this situation? And that's what's filled my cup, right? So my void is kind of like filled now because I did not necessarily lose that touch with my
you get all the good things out of it without the PC stuff. I mean,
without all the shackles. You're like, I don't have to sit here and be like, talk chiefy because I'm in the middle. You're like, nah, I can tell you straight up, like, nah, that's bullshit.
Exactly. Right. Somebody actually just made a comment on someone's timeline today. Is like, you know, I know some of y'all Air Force leaders out there want to be ratchet, but you just want to be a closet ratchet because you're just looking out for your own stripes or whatever. I'm like, I don't necessarily agree with that. If you're ratchet, you're ratchet. People are just gonna have to accept you. But if you're 100 ever since you're an airman and they followed you through it, guess what? You don't change for you. No new friends, just like what Drake said, right? You know, the friends that you actually got when you were growing up, those are your true friends. And the new friends who try to get with you, you might have to like kind of look at them with an extra like
shout out. You gotta take off your glasses and be like, hold on, like why do you want to be cool with me?
Exactly,
like,
right?
Why do you want to be cool? But you know what?
That's one thing that I say, you know, that I'm blessed with because I never really changed. Like a lot of people who's known me for a couple of decades in the military, like even my bosses when I was an airman's like, dang, you ain't changed. And I'm like, yup, that's me all the way as an airman all the way to the chief. Status, you know, and stuff. So, and I think that's what really helped me resonate with the airmen because I'm not that chief that just wear the stripes or just not, you know, like transparent or just authentic, you know. So So anyway, I told you I get to talking. So you guys.
No, you good. No, I was gonna say like
I'd rather you talk than sit there like ask me a question.
Yeah, no, I mean, because like I think but you said something that always a lot of people don't take into consideration, and it's like your story, your reason, like what drives you, what motivates you. Because a lot of times, and I see it on timelines now, like man, it kind of hits to what you were talking about, like man, like should I stay in? Like how do I get my spouse to understand or like push me to be a chief or whatnot, but everybody got to have a reason, and that reason sometimes, majority of times, has to stay within those decision maker bubble, like your spouse, your children, maybe you're a very close friend, but now you see so many people reaching so far outside of their group, and asking people who has no way to empathize to your situation, and they're commenting like, oh well, maybe you should think about doing this. I just be sitting there scratching my head like,
that's how it was whenever when I crossed over from active duty. Roy will tell you, like, because like I'm all over recruiting. Like I don't care what anybody say. I'm one of the faces of recruiting. Like Air Force recruiting, that's my jam. Don't even lie with that stupid face you make. But it was the same thing. Like it all happened very sudden for me. And I remember when I crossed over, you know, people to this day, bro, like I can't believe you left. Like you were supposed to change things, or like you were gonna. And I'm like, nah. Like I had to do it for my family because I looked at one of the things I looked at was my oldest. She not built like me. You know, like I went to 3 different high schools, 13 different schools growing up, single mom, only boy, like, and I'm straight, you know, but my oldest ain't built like that. And so, and then not only that, like I had, you know, I didn't want to be in Pennsylvania. I wanted to do the job, but I didn't want to be there. And I was like, man, like I remember telling Adrian, I was like, I don't want to be here, bro. Like, and I was like, I love recruiting so much, but I don't feel like this is where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
And she's like, then maybe you ain't supposed to be here. And so I'm like, when this guard stuff happened, it's the same thing. Like you just gotta, it's hard. Cause I told Roy, I was like, man, I'm so scared like, to do it. But like you said, if you're doing it for the right reasons though. And it's been wonderful. It's been a blessing. Like it's been amazing, especially with COVID. Cause now we spend more time together as a family in this 9 months that I've been here than I have in the 10 years I've been married.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, like
That's one good thing that COVID brought to our lives, right? A lot more time with family, whether they get on your nerves or not, you know. But like let's be real, you know, it's so many crazy things happening, you know, in this world. A lot of ugly things are happening that are kind of just coming to the surface. We know the crap existed, right? You know, it existed back in the freaking 90s when we were growing up, or even 80s. It's just we didn't have no freaking smartphones back then, you know, to be pulling it up and just record when you see something going on down the street or whatnot. You know, there's a lot. I mean, even if we, you know, talk about like racial inequality in the military, like come on,
with
like
all these things
you just realized that just happened now. No,
yes, this is a 2020 problem. That's what it is.
And I'm like, look, you know, like I would invite anybody that says that does not exist, because I will give you all types of scenarios that happened to me, you know, as a female, as a brown female or whatever, you know. And a lot of people would say, oh, you probably climbed your way up to the rank using your looks, your charm, whatever. I said, I will freaking, you know, throat punch you, you know, for saying that, because I work hard for everything that I've earned, you know, throughout my career and stuff like that. But Roy mentioned something about, you know, like having, you know, like the decision makers in you know, what you want to do in life or whatever. So I call them my board of directors, right? But let's be real, like our board of directors, like, look, mama, you get to sit at this table, but your vote don't count now. You know what I mean?
Vote don't count.
Like, listen, right? Like you sit on the table, but your vote don't count. Cause sometimes, like, let's be honest and be real, that sometimes our family are the ones that kind of like go against what we're trying to do, right? You know, so I always tell my people, my airmen, that hey, if this is not your dream, you're not gonna really do well with it. You're not gonna thrive in it. If this was your mama's dream, I don't know if you guys listen to Joe Coy, right? So part of my heritage is Filipino, right? Filipino and Spaniard. And Joe Coy talks about all the time how Filipinos are a bunch of nurses, doctors, and all that field, right? Because that is what the culture, right? But you're gonna see a lot of those, if that was not their dream, they freaking hate it, right? So that's why he's talking about everybody named mama in my family are nurses. And my mom always, like, you know, like, get on me because I want to be a comedian, you know, like he's speaking truth right there. Because sometimes when you're part of a culture where, you know, that is something that they push so hard because they live a hard life and they think that that's the end all be all career. You know, you're like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm the only one in my family that's probably not in a medical field. I'm the only one in my family that's in the military, you know? And like looking at that stuff now, they're like, man, you know, like now it kind of like shifted gears, because at first they were like, what? Like, you're doing what now? You know, that's why when I came in, I told my recruiter, I need to be in the medical field, because I felt like I had to fill that gap so I can kind of fit in this mold, that I would not feel some type of way that I'm not associated with my family roots, that they're all going on the medical side of the house, right? So, but yeah, you know, that board of directors is so key. It does not have to be your nuclear family, because sometimes they're going to be the first one to freaking drag you down, right? Especially when that negativity is there and that relationship is not too well. Guess what? You know what? You get to sit on that table now.
That's the first.
Don't count. You know
that's the first one. I mean, but you know what though? Like when you talk about the family and the culture, that's what I try to tell a lot of different recruiters, because a lot of times you'll have people like, oh, well, I need to join, or I need to go into this field, or I need to do this and I need to do that. And a lot of times you have to filter through all, like, look, what are you trying to do overall in life? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? Like, well, like, cause like a lot of times when they say, well, I got to get into the medical field, and I look at them like, okay, do you like throw up? Do you like urine, feces, like all the nasty stuff? Like, no, that sounds so nasty. So why? Why? Would you want to be around that on a regular basis?
Exactly. Yeah.
But it goes back to that key part that a lot of times we don't talk to as an organization is the culture. And
Right.
that is like understanding and taking that time to really understand why people feel the way that they feel. Like for
Right.
me growing up, me joining the military wasn't something that I was supposed to do. Like you
Right.
ain't got no business in the military.
Yeah.
But I look past it, of course, around my board of directors. And I'm like, nah, I still got to do it. You may say I don't need to, but nah, I'm gonna go ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
Right. Yeah. No, for real, man. And it's sad because that cultural shifts and that cultural perspective is so key, especially in the recruiting side of the house.
Yeah.
Or being a leader, period. Because
Mm-hmm.
how you were raised is going to be totally different perspective, looking at a different lens from somebody else's perspective, right? And I think that's where the huge void kind of happens, because sometimes when we're so focused on a mission or focused on just getting tasks done, and we don't understand why this airman is not doing so well in whatever career field, because we did not really dissect deep enough as far as how their upbringing was, what kind of beliefs did they have? Did they actually go into this job knowing that this is what they want to do? Sometimes, the donut is filled with this jelly, but they didn't know how the hell damn jelly got in there, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes in life, we have to kind of like pull that freaking jelly out and put new jelly in there. It's something that I want the strawberry damn jelly.
That's from your book. I see.
Yeah, exactly.
Book.
Yeah, right. So, and that's so key, because sometimes when you ask someone, hey, what's your belief? And they tell you what their beliefs are. And then you ask, okay, why is that your belief? Like, where did that come from? And then they look at you like, that's a great question. Like they don't even know, because, growing up, especially in this American culture, you're kind of like a robot, right? Like when we get into this whole entrepreneurial conversation right here, like I tell people all the time, I'm part of a multi-level marketing business, right? Did I grow up saying, I want to be a network marketing? Hell no. I was the first one to run away from a network marketing business back in the day, a decade ago, because I thought it was a scam, right?
Yeah.
But we lived in a culture or a nation where we were taught the American dream is all about going to school, going to college, getting a job after college, getting a freaking house, all this stuff that was pictured, right, in our head growing up. That's all we know, right? So if we don't go to college, you almost feel some type of way as far as, man, I don't fit the mold per se, right? I feel some type of way that now I'm kind of below that person, but it's not really that. I mean, damn, look at all the, no kidding, the top 1% people, most of them are freaking high school dropouts, right? Look at Gary Vee. Gary Vee quit freaking high school, right? But the work ethic, the grind, the grit that these people have is because they've been through life, and how life actually threw all kinds of curveballs on them, but they persevered, right? Because sometimes tenacity will freaking crush talent all day, right? We talk about hard work and talent all day, right? Dude, talent sometimes ain't gonna show up now. No. That damn talent, I don't care if you can shoot however, 100 shots with, opportunity that you're given, but if you don't show up with hard work or grit, that you might not make that shot, right? Or whatever the case may be. But I'll argue all day about hard work and talent, because talent is great, but talent don't show up all the time now.
Or you don't use it effectively.
Or you don't use it effectively, period. So
that was Roy. That was what Roy helped me with, because I had a lot of talent, but I was like effective wise. Like I always talk about this in the podcast, is like I didn't make goal after 3 months of being an Air Force recruiter. Obviously, I can talk. I have no problem talking. Obviously, my Air Force stories, but like I remember, like he always makes fun of me to this day still. But like it's one of those things, like you got it, and that's what I talk about, sharpening your sword a lot, or sharpening your steel. Like find people to help you sharpen your steel, because you have talents and things like that people can help you hone. And I think in today's age, because of social media, because of Facebook, whatever, people are like, oh no, I can just read it. I don't need to ask anybody for help. I could just read it, or I could just watch a video about it. And I'm like, nah, bro, like there is an element to human interaction that will never be you know, taken away from anything, especially like you were talking about, is people aren't used to being asked why do you want that, or why do you want this, because people don't give a shit about that anymore. Like, find you people that actually, like, that's why I hate and love Roy at the same time, because I'll tell him some shit and then he'll destroy my fucking dream. But he's like, you know, this comes from a place of caring, because you get excited and you're good at things, but you need someone to level the playing field. But today, you know, I always tell people, it's like, you find someone that does that for you. Don't find people that just agree with you all the time, because realistically, they just don't want it. They just don't care enough to break down your stuff, because they don't care about you enough.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah. You're right. 100% on that one. Yep.
And I'm done.
You know, I tell you, you know, how we can argue about IQ versus EQ all day, right? You know,
EQ, that's a
I
good
get
one.
so passionate about intelligence, man. I really think that if not just the Air Force, DOD across the board, or even corporate America, right? You know, I think if we really take the time and, you know, dig deep and really study and apply emotional intelligence in our environments, or in the work or corporate America or whatever you work at, I think we will have, you know, better productivity coming from our people. They're going to come to work a lot more happier. They're going to appreciate what they got, instead of, you know, waiting, you know, is it Friday yet? Is Friday yet? Or whatever the case may be, right? But I really think as a leader, even when I was growing up, before I became a chief, you know, we don't have a lot of those, right? You know, and part of the reason why is because we're so mission focused, right? Mission focused. I'm not saying mission is not important, but if you're not 100% all in mentally, the mission is going to suffer regardless, right? So when we have leaders who don't take the time, I mean, I learned this from a Lieutenant Colonel F-15 pilot that I worked for in England. I was just so amazed that his name was Lieutenant Colonel John Lucky Powell, right? I would not forget him, because he is a pilot. He was also a commander at OSS when I worked for him in a personnel career field as his CSS person. Like, this man knew everybody's name, their first name, their wife's first name or spouse first name, their kid's name. I mean, like, when we would go out and have a birthday celebration across the squadron, like, he had that EQ freaking lockdown, right? Yeah. And everybody loved him, you know? And when you have a commander that truly, genuinely reaches out and really, like, you know, from the walk from, you know, like, whatever, you know, from the office all the way to the cockpit or whatnot, and he's having that conversation with that person, that's how he gets to know his people, right? I've also had pilots that they didn't even know they work with enlisted people before. I'm like, dude, what the, like, really? Like, the person that made sure your ass is safe before you got in there, you didn't know they were enlisted? Like, seriously? Like, you know, so we have those type of leaders in the military. And I think if we can just, like, close the gap and really leverage emotional intelligence, it's freaking free 99. It doesn't cost nobody nothing, right? What it costs you is your time. And a lot of people say, I don't have time. And it irks me when they say I don't have time, because that just tells you that they're not telling you anything factual, right? They're just telling you that they're not in your priority. When somebody tells you I don't have no time, it's because I can't fit you in my priority right now. It's not factual, period, at all, that they don't have time, because everybody got time. I mean, damn, Beyonce got 24/7 too, right? Just like us. Like, they don't get no extra hours hustling and trying to make all that money that they have the same 1440 minutes, right? In 86,400 seconds in a day, you know? So I always tell people, your first 10 minutes, if that shit, like, was effed up, guess what? You don't want to waste the rest of freaking 1439 or 1430 minutes for the rest of your day to be jacked up, right? Everything starts with the mind. And if we can have that mental shift and that mental perspective that a lot of people are missing, man, we are going to be in a freaking better place, right? But a lot of people just can't get out of that freaking comfort zone, or that prison that I say, or they kind of limit themselves in this fence, right? That they think they have this parameter. I can't go outside that fence or whatever, especially for people who are living in this bureaucratic time versus entrepreneurial time, right? A lot of people are so comfortable with living in the bureaucratic time because they're getting their paycheck. Oh, I'm getting $8.25 for the hour that I work, right? I know I'm gonna get this much money, and they're happy with that. And the crazy part is, how could you just settle for something like that when you know that you can actually get more for the time that you put in, right? I mean, that's what I'm trying to teach my freaking teenager right now. He just turned 18, and I'm like, why the hell would you want to work at freaking Chick-fil-A when you can go to the Air Force or go into firefighting, and by the time you get that trade skill and you actually get the experience, you can be a freaking 22, 23-year-old making six figures. What, you know, like, because their mindset are so limited. They are freaking stuck in their own minds, and that's what's preventing a lot of people succeed and step outside of the comfort zone, because the American dream is so limited in their heads. And if they crawl out of that fence, right? They don't know, they're scared that they might fail. And a lot of people are so scared of failure, but failure is part of the freaking process. You know, you're not gonna learn nothing in this life without failure, right?
It's that cultural, societal shift in a way. Cause like, I know, and we always say it coming up in the military, like, oh, you guys aren't like us when I first came in, or this or that. Like it
for generations.
It really surpasses that, because we talk about like the 80s, 90s babies and all of that, because they grew up in a time to where, like, I remember the cord on the phone. I remember getting a whooping with that cord from the phone.
Oh yeah.
I seen the floor mounted televisions. I was around for AOL. I was around for Instant Messenger and all that type of stuff.
Right.
So in a lot of ways, I grew up in times where I had to struggle. Like, I look at my kids all the time, and I just be looking at them. I'm just like, you just
complaining,
just living. Like, you just ain't got a care in the world. Like, nothing is wrong. But then I think about it. I'm like, but you know what? In the same time, that's a crippling agent as well to me. Like, I look at it all the time. Like, when my son, like, oh, I'm like, bro, I am crippling you. I need to figure out a way to make your life hard. Like, so when they join the military, a lot of times, like, my kids hear no and hell no and shut the hell up all the time. For a lot of people, when they join the military, that's the first time they've heard no. They heard no, like, no, like, I can't call my mama. No.
Yup.
No.
But my mama said,
And it's like, and we're trying to figure out, like, to me, that's why I always say, like, when it comes to like resiliency, that is a cultural, societal, given trait that you learn from the ground up. So by the time you join the military, you have a foundation built around resiliency.
Right.
So that's why when people join like in the military now, like, oh, you gotta be resilient. I'm like, yo, some of these people don't even know how to cross the street.
Yeah. Or wash their damn laundry.
Or wash their laundry, let alone like be overcome. Like, this is my first girlfriend, that's my first boyfriend. Oh my God, they want to leave. So we have to change the way we look at even just trying to help people, because that's the first time they're hearing that stuff. That's the first time they're dealing with that stuff. So we got to go back to when they was like 12.
I know. And, you know, it's crazy you said that, you know. So as a career field manager for, you know, MTIs and MTOs, that was a huge struggle, right? Because my MTIs and MTOs, they're techs and master sergeants, right? I mean, I had staff sergeants in MTO career field, but we've got airmen coming in. Like, the average airman coming in when I was in that seat was about 21, 22 years old, right? And the crazy part is half of them don't have no damn driver's license, right? And then half of them, so either it's like there's nothing in between. One is to the extreme. They don't have no driver's license. They've never washed their clothes or whatever, right? And then because they either got Ubered by their parents or Ubered period or whatnot, and they've never even worked at nothing, right? And then you got the extreme that got somebody girl pregnant, they then got married, they got like 4 kids with mortgage, and like their debt coming into the military is like at least, you know, 40 grand just on credit cards and cars alone, right? So there's nothing in between. But we had to shift our MTIs and MTOs mindset, because you're saying how we grew up, right? We know resiliency. How we grew up, we know, man, shake that shit off, right? You know, like, so what, man? They comes dime a dozen, go on, find you the next girl, or the next boyfriend, right? Like, who cares, whatever, you know? But we had to tell, because people were freaking killing themselves, right? It could be as simple as they got written up or they got their privileges because they're on, you know, in tech school, you know, you still have those privileges as far as, hey, what you know, privilege, whether you can go off base or whatnot. Like, that could be something that is tragic to them. And you're thinking, are you effing kidding me right now? Like, are we really talking about this behind closed doors in my office because this what happened? You know, so we had to kind of change their mindset and say, hey, we grew up in a different era. The way we were raised, be like, man, shut the hell up, boy. Let's just keep on moving, right? We can't say that to them, because next thing you know, they could have freaking attempted suicide, right? Especially those relational issues, you know, and stuff like that. But it's just so crazy how to bridge that gap was so daunting. It was such a daunting task, you know, because when I was serving in that seat, our suicide rate was so high, right? And we were trying to kind of like, you know, infuse human capital training and trying to like really leverage that whole emotional intelligence. Let's take the time to really get to know these people, because, you know, every life is important, right? You know, so whether it's something, you know, something small or minuscule or whatever in your eyes, you have to be able to squint your ears and freaking really listen, because that is what we're missing these days. That's why people are still freaking, you know, taking their own lives, because they feel as though it's an option these days. It's just one of those things that we have to accept, that this generation is a little bit different than us. They're not as resilient as us. They did not grow up with a rubber butt, right? You know, when we grew up, you had to learn about having a rubber butt, because like if you fail and you don't got no rubber butt, and you're gonna get dragged by your parents and say, get your ass up, you know, like let's duct tape your knees because you fell off the bike and now you're bleeding. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't know that stuff that we went through. But then again, we got to shift our mindset and say, you know what, I don't know the stuff that they're going through as well, because they live in an environment where it's so technologically infused. They don't have any social skills anymore. They don't go outside and play with your imaginary friend and dig dirt. You know, they never did that crap. You know, you don't come inside the house unless you see the damn light post turn on at nighttime, right? You know, that's how we grew up. Like, all right, go ahead and play with your friends. But we live in a different society these days. Like, I don't even want to, you know, let my kids go, you know, because you just never know. We've got craziness going on, pedophilia, like, you know, saying that it's a mental disorder. Nah, I mean, come on, man. It's just crazy. But no, you're right. It's like trying to bridge that gap as a leader is so hard, but it's so important, you know, because you just never know how someone is going to hit that deepest pit in their life. It could be a breakup of their first girlfriend, or it could be an LOR. You just never know. So we can never really judge that. Come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, but back in our day, we just got slapped and be like, all right, keep it moving. Like, then you got chased with a switch, you know, down the street, like, oh damn, that hurt. And that freaking, like, the tail end of that switch is the one that hurt the most. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. But you're right though. Like Roy was talking about, we enabled them, you know, So we're part of the freaking problem. And I'm doing that shit right now, because I'm just like, damn, I freaking created that damn monster, you know? But we didn't know no better when we were growing up, because we grew up some of us grew up so hard that, damn, I don't want my child to go through this shit, you know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You kind of like, all right, you know, I'm blessed now. I freaking did my thing. I worked hard for this. I want to create a life that's better than what I had for my children. And them, these little freaking fools. Man, don't get me started on this one.
Man.
It's a totally different episode right here now for parenting.
I'll try
But
to
you know what I'm
tell you.
saying? It's just like, dang, we messed up. We messed up. Our generation messed up. Like,
But it's a overarching thing, and because I said this one time to one chief, and he was talking about resiliency, and he sat back and he thought about it. He was just like, man, so Roy, like I have heard some things in my time. He's like, but boy, that's it. Like that's it. He's like, and I'm actually one of the problems right there. Like,
oh, was that that brief you gave at Maxwell?
Like he told me, I was just like, man, like, cause it's just sometimes, like you said, sometimes we just don't have to reinvent the wheel on a lot of different things. And it took a lot of time to, like, if you read like a lot of self-help books, there's nothing different said from the other books. They all say essentially the exact same thing. They just say it in a different way. Like that's why it almost dawned on me when one day I was listening to like a motivational speaker. I'm just like, you get paid to speak, to motivate people, like
just to tell people that they trash and that they should be doing better.
Like, man, and
you sitting on your couch, you ain't doing shit. Get up,
yo.
Do some shit.
It blows your mind though, because you got somebody who says it in a calm manner. Then you got people like Eric Thomas that says it like, yo, da 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 da.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, and depending on the personality, you respond to the one that you're more comfortable with.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's like a chief. Like you got some chiefs, like they talk, you just be like,
Yeah.
But you got some, like they just got that swag to them, and they say two words like, "You got it, I got it,
I got it."
Yep.
Got it. Like I got it. So
right.
It's just from a leadership standpoint, you just have to try to be adjust and be that chameleon and adapt to a lot of different situations to thrive. So.
Right.
So question for you, since we're on this. So that transition from chief to now where you're currently at right now, tell us about that. Because obviously somebody brought you into Arbonne, right?
Yeah.
So one, I want to know how she got you. Because like you said, we were brought up to like, nah, we ain't playing with that. So I want to know how she got you. And then obviously, you know, I'm sure, you know, he or she, I don't know if it was a girl or boy, but then you joined their team, and now they're kind of, you know, and you kind of like, obviously you're like, I want to, you know, and so tell us about that.
So crazy story, right? So she didn't get me. I sought.
You sought.
The opportunity, right? So, you know, I tell people this, you know, I'm a Christian, but you know, I curse here and there and stuff like that. I'm, you know, don't judge me or whatever. Like I'm a real person, right? So, but I was really struggling, you know, when I retired or going into retirement.
Yeah.
As far as, you know, missing my airman, I fed off of their energy.
Yeah.
I felt complete when I go into work and I come home and I help somebody out, right? So I had such a huge void in my heart. How am I going to thrive when I retire? I know I have my kids and, you know, my family, but let's be real, like our kids get on our nerves, right? And there's only so much you can do with your kids comparable to what you had in the military the last 23 years of your life, right? So Arbonne came as an opportunity. She was actually a mutual friend from one of my military training leaders who happened to be one of the 12 OAY, right? So they were 12 OAY together, and, you know, he kept telling her that, oh, you got to meet my chief. You got to meet my chief. You guys will get along or whatever. So Facebook, right? You know, Facebook is so great at that and stuff. And then I just started like, kind of like, my friend requested her, stalking her. And I was just watching what is this Arbonne thing,
Yeah.
right? I'm just like, man, I remember Arbonne because I was introduced to Arbonne when I was a young staff sergeant in
Yeah, I
England.
mean, it's been around for
Right. Yeah. For 40 years. It's been around
Yeah.
for 40 years. I ran when I was introduced to that because I'm like, you ain't about to get me. I ain't going to be the one
Yeah.
that you're going to get, right? You know, it's just not for me. And I was stupid then because I did not do my proper homework.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But 9 months prior to me retiring, I just watched them. And I was just so intrigued. I was so intrigued by the community, you know, that they had and some of the stuff that they're putting out there. And I've been in the health and wellness business for about a decade. I you know, I coach, I competed, I bodybuild. I had my own supplement company. I mean, I did it all, right? And stuff. So I was so intrigued by their nutrition line and what exactly they're doing. And I'm just like, I'm a coach. And the minimum amount of time that I can transform someone realistically in a safe way is about, you know, 60 to 90 days, right? But they're throwing all this stuff about 30 days. And I was seeing all the transformation that they were having. So I just kind of watched for a little while and stuff. And then I would hit her up on Messenger and be like, start asking all these hard questions, right?
Yeah.
And then like real talk, she was a master sergeant then and I was a chief. And she was actually like scared of me because it's like, I don't know if this chief is just trying to trump my knowledge about fitness or whatever, you know, and all that stuff. Cause I was asking the hard questions. And then like shortly after I retired, so I stalked her. I would Facebook message her, ask the question, and I'll ghost her and I'll do it again back and forth and all that type of stuff, right? But for some reason, you know how, you know, God's plans for you, you just never know. But the damn Arbonne was showing up in my dreams now. And I was just like, you know, what the hell? Like, that's weird as hell, you know? One day I just woke up, you know what? I don't have nothing to lose. What if it does work for me, right? So I signed up, I hit her up and I said, look, I said, I'm just going to be real with you. I'm going to sign up, but I'm not going to sign up as a client. I'm going to go all in, but just know that my reputation is on the line here. So I don't know you like that, but I'm trusting you because we have a mutual friend that I trust a lot. Yeah. So I said, this shit better work. Yeah. I told her that this shit better work because or I'm coming for you. That's what I told her. That was my last statement with her, right? And then she's like, oh my God, I don't even know what to do. That's telling me like, you know, so, but no kidding. It's just been the biggest blessing that I've had in my career. But going in from the environment as a military chief into, you know, a company as big as Arbonne, it wasn't a huge shift for me because I kind of knew my stands, right? I knew that she was a master sergeant, but I did not look at her as that. Like I looked at her as the national vice president in this company, right? Because it's the highest level that you can attain in our company. So that's how I viewed her. So I went in there in that mindset that I'm just an airman, right? I am the new consultant. I'm going to be a sponge and I'm going to soak it all in. Whatever you tell me, I'm going to do as long as it's, you know, legal, ethical and all that stuff, right? So no kidding. She did all that and she told me, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? And she just told me, hey, this is kind of like our bread and butter, you know, find however many lives that you can change and stuff. And I was just blessed because I had a pretty solid network in the military and also my health and wellness fitness business because I used to coach people too. So pretty much everybody that I coach kind of like got on the bandwagon with me. And I'm like, hey, y'all, I'm doing this thing. Y'all want to jump in? And then no kidding, in the business, there's only 4 levels of promotion or management levels, right? So when I signed up, in 5 days, I became a district manager. And the norm, normally, it takes about, you know, 9 to 12 months, right?
Oh, damn.
You know, and that same month when I joined, I qualified for area manager, which is the 2nd level of the business. And I actually made area manager the following in 1 month, right? So and then the norm there is it's like I think 18 to 24 months. And then 8 months into the business, I earned the regional vice president title where you actually earned, you know, Mercedes-Benz cash rewards. And everybody's just like, who the hell is this damn chick, right? So when I went into the team, they're like, what the heck? Like, who is this chick? Like, what is she doing? Like what kind of secret sauce did she, you know, use to kind of like get this, you know, momentum in her business? Honestly, anybody that asks me that now, I tell them I have no freaking idea what I was doing when I first came in. I just
gotta
spoke,
jump in.
yeah, I just spoke from the heart. You know, you always have to come from a place of love. You know, in a network marketing business, in a recruiting business, in any sales business, when you try to come at somebody trying to make a sale and you sound salesy, they're gonna get turned off. Right? So I just didn't know how to do sales. And I think that was probably a blessing in disguise because I've never been in sales in my whole entire career or my whole life, period, right? So I don't know strategies for sale. But what I do know, coming from a military background as a chief and, you know, having 23 years in my back pocket, is how to talk to people, how I can connect to people through trust, loyalty, and commitment, right? You know, we always hear about TOC. You got to put some TOC there. But my TOC meaning is like trust, loyalty, and commitment. And I always tell my people, you've got to plant that seed of trust. You got to sow that seed, right? Because you're not going to be able to reap the harvest of loyalty and commitment. This comes with any environment or corporate America, military, or whatever, right? You have to be able to be that leader that plant that seed of trust, right? Because they're depending on you, and vice versa, right? You know, so most people would actually automatically have trust on you already, or some people will kind of watch you a little bit before they can kind of like trust you. It just really depends, right? So, but you as a person, you know, you have to have that initiative to actually plant that seed of trust, get that relationship established, right? So that's kind of like how I run things, whether that's business or my personal life, right? I always try to put forth the effort to try to build that relationship with someone, get to know them before I have that Arbonne diarrhea coming out of my mouth, right? So, but yeah, that's just kind of like, I don't want to say it was my strategy. That's just my gift, I guess, you know, like when I try to talk to people, when I try to say, hey, girl, I'm telling you, like, this will change your life. Like it did mine, you know, it did change my mom's life and a bunch of my other friends that kind of like, you know, took a leap of faith with me. So, you know, that's kind of like how I got into the whole thing. And then 2 years strong now, you know, I'm only one level away from national vice president. And when I tell you, you know, my typical story obviously is not the norm, right? And stuff. But when I tell you, if you have a decided heart to try to make, you know, to change someone's life, and that's really what you're in here for, then, you know, the money is going to come along the way, because I never knew that the compensation would be so gracious in a network marketing business, because I never really studied the business model like that. But all I was looking for when I joined the Arbonne company was the community. I needed my void filled with some type of camaraderie where I can pull off of somebody else's energy, someone who can fill my cup, and someone that I can do the same for, or whatever the case may be. That's why I initially joined, and I've not had regrets then. I mean, it's probably one of the hardest jobs I've ever held, because let's be real, like people,
well, it's all on you.
Oh my gosh, man, like the negative, I tell my people, my team all the time, I said, the battlefield that we go in every single day, you know, the battlefield when, like, let's say the cops, the defenders, you know, the battlefield that they go in every day is pretty much like you're going into war every day, right? The battlefield we go in as recruiters, as sales, as network marketers, whatever, is the freaking negative mindset, right? Yeah. Because people are just, I mean, human nature, we're negatively wired, right? It takes a lot of effort to have positive affirmations said to us, you know, said to us by our own selves or some other people, whatever. We're so quick to always like feed and listen to all that freaking head trash, right? Because we were never trained growing up that you gotta talk to yourself in a positive manner. Positive affirmation wasn't a thing when we were growing up, right? But listening to your head trash was a thing. It wasn't even taught to us. It just freaking happened, right? That's just what happens. That's why a lot of people don't succeed in whatever, you know, path they go into, because that freaking head trash, that belief is just so effed up that their mindset could not shift into gear that could propel them into a momentum where they need to be, right? So I always tell people that, like, if your mindset's not right, we need to fix that first, because I'm telling you, when that mindset shift happens, it's a freaking game changer. I'm pretty sure you guys probably see that in
We-
recruiting as
You
well.
must have listened to the. I listened to a podcast this morning by Adam, I think Posner. He's going to be on the show in a couple weeks. But all those main things you just talked about, like the first thing was like the LinkedIn thing. He's like, let's try something new, people. He's like, don't add a connection and put a little sales shit in there. He's like, add a connection, then post stuff. Let your connect see you work. Then
Right.
after 2 weeks, 3, whatever, then you approach like, hey, what's up? Like, da 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 da. I noticed you liked my things and blah blah blah. And
Right.
then the other thing was exactly what you just said. I think I text Roy kind of this morning was, if you follow your passion, the money will come. But they said it in different manners. They was like, at the end of the podcast with his guest, he said, what's one bit of information you think that has really propelled you to stay in sales and recruiting? And he said, someone once told me wouldn't it suck to climb the corporate ladder and realize that the ladder was on the wrong building?
That's right.
Because what you want, what your passion is and so forth. So man, that's funny that you said all that, because I literally listened to that this morning.
Yeah, no, real talk, man. It's like what I wish for people, like especially when I approach people, because I'm very picky with who's part of my dream team.
You have to.
Because it's not for everybody.
You gotta hold your time close.
Yeah, absolutely. And what saddens me is the fact that you see the vision right in front of your eyes on what this business or this opportunity can have an impact on someone's life, but they're so negatively wired. Their skepticism is basically preventing them to be great. And a lot of people would even drop that scripture, oh, no weapons formed against me shall prosper or whatever. Hey, let's be real. The freaking weapon is in your mind. You're the one who's preventing you to prosper. It's not everybody else. I mean, a lot of people probably, allow, somebody else's 2 cents to bankrupt them, right? I tell my people all the time, like, look, if you're that type of person that you listen to everybody else's 2 cents and allow them to bankrupt your ass, I don't know how I can help you. But it starts with, you really changing, that belief and getting that old jelly out of that donut out and put some new jelly in, because that stuff is not going to work. It's almost like, a dog that was trained to not go outside of a perimeter fence, and there's no damn fence. The dog just sitting there because that's how he was trained, right? But the dog's mind is probably like, oh my God, I wonder how that would feel, to kind of go across the field and just freaking play in the mud, right? But he sits still. That's what's wrong with people these days, because nobody want to take that risk.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, like, the risk, you have to actually embrace any risk, right?
Yeah.
Or getting outside of, get both feet out of that freaking comfort zone circle, because the risks that we take are the catalyst that's going to fuel opportunities that you might not even thought about, right? But you will never know what those opportunities that's going to fuel you or await you on the other side until you take that freaking leap of faith. So what if you fail? Okay, try again. I mean, damn, Thomas Edison failed how many times? 1,000. I can't even remember before the damn, light bulb actually happened, right? But so many people try, like even in network marketing, I tell my people, how many times have you asked? It takes about the 5th through the 15th exposure to what you're talking about before somebody actually gets it, right? Same thing with probably recruiting, right? Yeah. But you put in the work 4 times with this person and you gave up. I come in because I go hardcore. I talk to them about the same damn thing you talked about. They sign up with me and you mad at me. I'm like, you quit on her. I was the 5th exposure. And I explained it a little bit different, with passion, with transparency, with authenticity. And I got the client. You mad at me. No, it don't work like that. How hard do you want to freaking get it? Like, are you going to be that first one to eat at the buffet table? Are you that hungry? Right? Yeah. And it just really depends. That's why, comparison is the death of joy. You gotta freaking focus on you. When you're in a business, yes. When you are in a business and in a business so freaking savage like this, even in recruiting, right? I tell them, I'm like, hey, I would rather be a lone wolf walking or climbing this freaking mountain than be a part of a herd that's going in the wrong freaking direction, right? No, you can be that lone wolf, keep climbing, because you're gonna meet the same wolves that's climbing that could have taken a rest on the side, and that could be a part of your team, and you guys can freaking level up together, right? So I tell people all the time, man, like if your why is so deep, because the why is what's gonna propel you to freaking level up, right? If your why is not gonna make you cry at night or wake you up at night, or it doesn't freaking get you teary-eyed, then you need to dig deeper about your why, right? Because the why is what propel people to go hard. The why is what keeps people right now in a toxic environment still grinding, right? Because they know that I gotta freaking feed my family. As much as I hate this effing job, I'm going hard because my why is so deep that I can't do that to my family, right? So I tell people, if your why is not deep enough, or if it's not your why, then you need to like do a real assessment about yourself and figure out what the hell really you want to do when you grow up, right? So
it goes back to that like how you sound like that what we were taught, that risk, like a lot of times we're taught and raised not to take risk. That's why, like, we're like, oh no, you can't do that. Like, you got to, like you said, you got to go to school, you got to go to college, you got to go into this career field, you got to work on this, you got to work on that. And like you said, like that opportunity, people discount the opportunities that are afforded to them, but it may be packaged or presented in a way that they didn't expect.
Right.
Like I say it all the time, like you can come in and, let's say, just like for small smiles and giggles, be a mechanic or something like that. But you may get into it and just fall in love with it. Right. And you would have never have done that if you had not taken that risk on yourself on that opportunity.
Right.
And it's like you said, fear is whew, so that's the root of all evil.
So we are getting close to time.
Yeah,
we're at time. So we always try and make sure we ask, I'm sure we'll have you back. We're gonna do a reunion after a year. Where's everybody? Awesome. Where's everybody at now? But we always try and make sure to ask, what does scared money don't make money mean to you?
Scared money don't make money. Man, it's a lot. Actually, I was thinking about that when I looked in your website, scared money don't make money. I was like, that is a freaking catchy phrase, right? Like, I was going to ask you guys how you guys came up with that phrase, because I was super intrigued by it. Like, scared money don't make money. To me, basically, it's a limiting belief, right? Limiting factors, limiting belief that people have. If you're scared, like we're talking about this risk, right? We're talking about, taking risk. A lot of people are too comfortable to just stay in the zone because that's what feeds their soul, their minds, or whatever. They're scared to step outside because the unknown is always scary for everybody, right? When that phrase that you guys put together, scared money don't make money, is like 100% real talk. Because if you're scared to take a leap of faith with anything that you do, whether you're chasing money, whether you're chasing position, whatever you're chasing to level up, if you're not going to actually take that action, it's not gonna make you money, right? So that's kind of like how it caught my attention, because you know what, that's 100% truth bomb right there. Because scared money don't make money, because if you're not going to really like take that leap of faith, you're gonna stay where you're at. So it's all about taking risks. It's all about freaking taking that fear, and crushing it. And then, so what if you fail or whatever? But what if it works? A lot of people would always say, what if it doesn't work? Like, I'm like, how about we shift that mindset and say, what if it does work? What if your $49 to actually start a business freaking take off like it did mine, right? You know, but a lot of people won't ever think that until you kind of like propose to them, hey, have you thought about this? And most of the time they're gonna be like, no. Like when I do, I have new consultants in my team, and I actually have a Zoom call with them, and I say, hey, this is kind of like my onboarding team call, right? You know, for new consultants, and I just welcome them and stuff. And they have no idea how that Zoom call is going to go, but I always put them on the spot. I asked them for their why. I said, so what made you join? Like, you know, and then I asked them 3 questions. Okay, you know, what's your why? Like, you know, why, most of the time it's their family. Okay. So, and then I'll ask them questions. I know that this could be a vehicle or a tool for you to actually make extra money. What is that dollar amount right now that you're looking for that could help you level up, right? And almost always they're like, I'm not prepared for this question. And I'm like, well, you came into the business to have a side hustle, right? So what is that dollar amount? Are we looking at date money here, or are we looking at childcare money, or are we looking for your mortgage payment here? Because when you tell me what you want, I'm going to cater my training, my mentorship to you and how to get there as fast as you can. Yeah. And then is this a matter of urgency, or is this like, I want to go on a like date night, you know, at least every couple of, you know, weeks or whatnot. Okay, so that's not urgency to me. But if you tell me I don't even know how I'm gonna pay my electric bill next month, I'm freaking going hard with you.
Yeah, it's like Wolf of Wall Street. You about to leave your house? Pick up the damn phone.
That's right. That's right. And I tell people all the time, look, if I tell you I'm going to give you $1,000 for you to make that phone call or reach out to that person that you think you're going to possibly change their life, would you do it? Hell yeah, everybody will do it, right? Course, and if I tell you if that $1,000 phone call that I just gave you is going to give you residual income for however many years you're going to stay in this company, would you do it? Hell yeah, you do it. But why don't you do it? Because it's so hard to really just like apply the concept that I can work for me. Yeah. It is okay to work for me. I can be my own boss. The only problem that people have is holding themselves accountable and having that discipline to say, you sucked this week, right? And I tell them all the time, like, how would you rate yourself if you were your own boss and write your freaking performance report this week, right? Yeah. Because I tell them the way you grind this week, your paycheck is going to reflect on Tuesday. Yeah. So if you didn't grind, don't be coming to me because you got freaking 0 paycheck, right? What did you do last week? So it's really up to you. Like, how hard do you cannot want it for them harder than they want for themselves. Right?
No, for sure.
But anyway, that's how that phrase means to me. Am I kind of off or what?
No, you good. You good. You hit it.
You got it.
Yeah. But that was a catchy phrase, though. I'm just like, hold on now, like that's what's up. Yeah,
Roy brought that up. I don't know. Years ago, we used to mess around with that.
Man, I really don't know how to. I mean, it's one of them things. A lot of people. I mean, people say it. Like people say it, but like it's just
no one's like taking it. Like I think that's the biggest thing is whenever, you know, just to end it, whenever we did start the podcast, you know, I did market research. I was like, you know, is there another podcast? And no one ever took it and turned it into something. And so I was like, all right, like this was meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
So here we are.
And a lot of people, you know, talking about scared money don't make money. Everybody want to make that money, right? You know, like everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to freaking make do right? You know, and I tell people like you cannot be part of the 1% with a freaking work minimum wage work ethic, right? Yeah. You can't. You got to freaking grind harder. You know, you got to do what the 1%, you know, what the 99% are not willing to do to get to the 1% clan, right? And it takes a lot of freaking hard work. It's not gonna happen. There's no freaking shortcut, right? No. You know, like we've seen it with everybody, like, you know, except for, of course, the ones that, you know, have had their, you know, luck, or I mean, not luck, but, you know, money handed to them per se. But most of us kind of like work hard for our money. Is it easy? Hell no. I mean, if it would be easy, everybody would be on it.
Everybody would do it. Yep.
Everybody would do it.
Yeah, man. So no, but I'm so grateful. Like I said, we all feed off of everybody's energy. I love you guys' energy here and kind of fed off of mine as well. So I can do this all day, like I told y'all. I'm so passionate, and I miss this type of, conversations with my airmen, with people, period, about life. I mean, it's really not just recruiting. It's all about life. How can we fill each other's cups, because you can't fill from an empty cup. Like right now, my cup is filled, just going off of y'all's to make, to have these conversations and stuff like that. But I'm truly grateful that you guys asked me to be here today. Hopefully,
we had to get
help out, the audience or whatever intended audience that we're actually trying to reach from you guys' podcast.
Yep. So that's what we're doing. But no, we appreciate you. I only have you on Facebook. Do you have an Instagram too?
Instagram, I just deactivated.
Okay.
Instagram, too much damn drama, man.
No, you're fine. Well, you can catch her Facebook stories. I watch them every day. They're hilarious. But that's why I like you keep it real, and I'm all about authenticity. That's how I rock. So that's why I told Roy I want her to do it, because she's real, and that's what I want. So we appreciate y'all listening. We appreciate you, man, for hooking us up. Roy, you got any last minute, from your repertoire of big words?
Oh, no, I have no big words today. I took off my smart glasses because they was hurting my eyes. So no big words today.
Time for Daddy Daycare to continue.
You know what I'm saying?
Daycare. Hey, man, I feel you now.
Just keep the hustle going. The grind don't stop. And always just try to evolve. Just keep evolving, and you'll be good.
Not perfection, but progress. That's
every day above ground is a blessing. I tell you that now.
Yep. All
every
day.
Above ground is a blessing, and make it count. Don't count the day. Make it count now.
Yep. That's it.
So episode Scare Money Don't Make Money. We out.
A always, B